everyone, and welcome back to Just Code It, where we're on our third part of LangChain. We're going to take a look at output parsing. There's going to be a couple videos on output parsing because there's a lot of them to cover. We're going to cover a few of these output parsing methods. These can be useful when using tools because tools typically, such as like a calculator or search engine, needs to be given data in a specific format. Output parsing will allow you to then define what kind of output you want the LLM to give you, such as a CSV like our first one, or JSON or XML, things of that nature. To start, we're just going to do what we do every time and initialize our LLM, then just double check to make sure it's working. Yep, everything's working all right. We are going to first start with CSV parsing. This parser returns, as it says, a comma-separated value list. If you want to import pretty print, it will help when we're looking at the dictionaries. But first, we basically define our output parser, which is imported from output parsers, comma-separated list output parser. They really need to work on the names for this. And then we're just going to get the format of it, print out what the instructions say. Basically, it just says, put this into a comma-separated list, and then gives an example. We're going to add it to a prompt template where we're going to give a subject where we want it to list 5. Then we're going to hand it the formatted instructions, print the object right here, create a chain where we're adding the prompt, LLM, and output parser together. And then we're going to use that to invoke off of that chain where we're going to ask it to give us 5 examples of breeds of dogs. Then we're going to print the results. So from here, let's this up a bit. You can get going. And as you can see, we have the formatted instructions right here, which it basically, as I said, just gives it text explaining what it wants the output to be like. This is the full object for the prompt template. We've seen this in the previous chapter, but here we have the formatted instructions, which is the exact same. Then the template. Finally, we're going to see the results after we invoke off of it. And here we have 5 examples of dog breeds. This can be useful if you want to generate some fake data. Just run this a few times and create a CSV with a bunch of random names or a bunch of random addresses, a bunch of random zip codes, things like that. Next, we have date parser. This is going to follow the same logic as the previous one. Basically, all these are where you're going to create the output parser, put it into a template, add any variables you want to feed in, and then make a chain and then invoke off the chain. Here, we're going to take a little shortcut and just not add any input variables, or we're just only defining the formatted instructions as our input variable. And then we're giving it straight to the template. So we're basically skipping a step, but it will have the same effect. And all we're going to ask is what is the current date and time. So let's create this template and then print it. Date time, and let's pretty print it. Here we have the date time printed as a dictionary. And you can see we have the template where we have the partial variables, which are basically the formatted instructions with a bunch of examples. And then that's about it for the prompt template. Now we're going to form that chain that we were talking about, where we create the date chain, which is made up of the date prompt, the LLM, and then the output parser. And then we're going to invoke off of it. So here, as you can see, the result is this date time stamp. Let's check the type of that real quick. Type of the date time result. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's a date time object. Okay, now we're moving on to the Enum parser. Enums are a list or a self-defined list. These can be useful for drop-down menus. So if you want to have your LLM select a specific item in a drop-down menu, but you want to have those drop-down menu items defined, we're just going to use a really easy example and just do eye color. We create this class, which inherits from Enum, and then we just set red equal to red. Basically, you're just doing a key value pair almost. Then we're going to create our parser. To create our parser, we're going to use from LangChain output parsers, Enum output parser. Then pass it the eye color, which is our Enum class. Next, we're going to create that prompt template, which is prompt template from template, and then pass it the string, which is the prompt template. And in this scenario, we're giving it what color does this person have, then an arrow person, and then you have an input variable, the person, instructions, where we're going to print those instructions that we spoke of. Then we're just going to chain this together to reduce space. This is just another way that you can do it. You can then define your partial variables, which are our instructions, where we get them from that parser. So parser get format instructions. We'll also just print the parser get format instructions. Let's take a look at that first. So as you can see, these are the format instructions, and then let's do a pretty print for prompt dictionary, which that would have been easier. We can see the partial variable, select one from the following, and then it passes it all of our enum list. And then we have our template. So we can create a new cell, and I'm just going to put this in there where we're creating our chain, invoking off of our chain, giving it the variable person. This person has blue eyes. It should probably give us that the person has blue eyes. So we'll run this. And I ran into this error a decent amount before. This is typically due to case sensitivity and stuff. I haven't really spent much time fixing that. But here so if you're running into that error, yeah, it works right there. If you're running into that error, try to run it again. Or if you want to go crazy, you can come up here and make it non-case sensitive, so that if the LLM returns blue non-capitalized, then it will still match to blue capitalized within your enum class. Those are basically just handling edge cases, and it's a lot more coding. Didn't feel like doing it here. Sorry. I think this is the last one. Yep. The last one for today we're going to take a look at is JSON parsing. So I'm sure you're bored of this now. Returns a JSON object, good for APIs and web services. We're going to do from LangChain core, output parsers, JSON parser, define it, and then we're going to create that formatted instructions by basically invoking the get formatted instructions. We're going to print it. After creating that formatted instructions, we're going to create a prompt template where we're just going to ask a simple question, provide details for a person in JSON format. Input variable is those formatted instruction. Partial variable is the formatted instruction, which we pass it that JSON format instructions. We're going to pretty print the dictionary, and then we can invoke off of it. 1 second. So yep, we have our template, we have our partial variables, and I guess the formatted instructions are pretty simple for this one. Return as JSON object. Okay, simple, sweet. Now we create that JSON chain, combining the JSON prompt, the LLM, and then the output parser. Invoke off of it. Here we're not passing anything, so we just have an empty dictionary, and then we're going to print it. So here we are. We have a human. Let's actually make that a bit nicer. Let's just pretty print that. Oop, nope. So this should return it in a more easily to understand or easily to read area. So this should return it as a easy to read JSON object. Yep. Here's our person, gender male, John Doe, that's funny. Software engineer, random phone number, that's missing an area code, and a work phone number. No email. So that is it for the first installment of output parsers. I'm going to try to finish up all the other ones in the next video. Just got a little burnout. These aren't that fun to me, but they're pretty important. So it's good to actually know what you have to work with. If you have any questions, comment down below. Please leave a like, and I'll see you next time.